At YouTube today we've got Whirlpool washer part 4. Got a lot of things to go over. Lid lock faults. We've got drain pump motor issues and problems that's going to cause. And the machine or the book is wrong about how to test this. They want you to spend a lot more money than you need to. So we'll start with the lid lock. I had a viewer last week or two on one of my other series videos in this series. I think he was having the same problem, which I am now having, and I figured I'd make a video to help you guys with it in case you're having, you know, in my opinion, these machines are such garbage. I mean, there's so much crap that breaks on these things, it's ridiculous. But let's go over this. So, if your machine got your lid locked LED flashing continuously, means you're having a lid lock fault. So if you're having a lid lock fault, the red LED is just going to sit there and flash, and it's never going to, and you'll hear the lid lock actuator trying to open and close. It'll do it 3 or 4 or 5 times, and it's a mess. Usually when it happened to my machine, the lid stayed locked and I had to manually unlock the lid so the customer could get his clothes out. Figure I'll show you guys how I did that real quick to manually unlock it. You have to do your sequence starting at normal and go left, right, right, left, right. So then you're in the thing, test mode. So then you go back to normal. 1, 2, 3. That'll put you in manual overview test mode. Now, when you're in there, you press start one time, all the lights will go off. It's not off. It's actually in the first test, which is your lid lock. So none of the lights will be on. You hit the start button, and the lid, if your lid lock was functioning correctly, you would hear it lock, the light would come on and stay on. But mine was already messed up, so I hit it, and that's how I unlocked the machine so that the customer could get his clothes out. So let me show you the lid lock mechanism and what happened to it. Alright, so this is the lid lock mechanism. I've already taken out of the machine. I've already replaced mine. But what it does is, it's got a set of contacts right here. You can see mine are all discolored and burnt. And it's just really cheap, crappy contacts. And it's not like the old school where you could, sand your contacts like on some pump points or something. These, I tried sanding them. It made no difference. And the reason for that, I'll show you in the book when you go to test it with your own meter, what the computer's looking for. It's very simple. It's just looking for open or closed. And when those contacts are worn, the computer's looking for when it's locked, 0 ohms. That's what it's looking for. So it's looking for either open or closed. And I tried sanding these contacts, and I couldn't get it to make a good enough contact. I still had some resistance there, so it just didn't work. Unfortunately, you can't just tie these together and make it think that it's locked, because then it says, hey, it won't unlock. So there's no way around it. You got to replace this piece of junk. It wasn't too bad. I think I paid like $32 for it on Amazon. So yeah, that's the only thing around it. So if your red light's flashing, this thing's clicking, lock, unlock, it's done. It's toast. Those contacts ain't no good. Just go ahead and replace it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up to the next problem I'm having with the machine now. All right, so y'all will probably recognize this as the control board out of the washer. And the reason why I have it out is because I actually opened this up to see if there's any fuses or anything. Now here's the problem I was having today. Just fixed the machine last night, the lid lock switch, tested it, ran it through a cycle, everything was nice and happy. Today a tenant came out, went in to wash clothes, and the machine ran and it was washing, it filled up, and then it stopped. And the only thing it had was the LED for the lid lock was on. It's unresponsive. It didn't matter if I unplugged it, let it sit 10-15 minutes, plug it back in. Doesn't matter if I do the sequence. It just does not respond to anything. But I did notice a trend. Every time I'd plug the machine back in, I would hear the drain pump try to kick on, but it wouldn't do it. It just wouldn't. So basically we have an unresponsive control board. Okay? So this is what I was telling you earlier that I think is wrong. And I'll explain to you why. So we got to test our main controls. Basically, it tells you to check with a voltmeter to make sure on this pin right here, this is where your main power comes in. But there's a little way around that. Right in here is a little green LED. And if that's lit, if you look at step 6, the diagnostic LED, is it on or off? If it's on, that means your 5-volt circuit is working fine. So obviously, if the light is on, the board's getting power. There's no need to check this. Second thing you need to check, well, actually this would be the third thing, but the probe set to DC on the, I think it's a shift motor circuit, J2, yeah, shift motor circuit right here, pins 3 and 4. Alright, you gotta check and make sure it's got, it says 13 volts. Mine's got 12.2 or whatever. It's close. I'd say it's close enough. So it wants to know if 13 volts is present. That means the main control supplies are good. So that was good. Then it says to totally remove the connector, plug it back in, see if anything changes. Nothing changed. Now it says the main control has malfunctioned and replace the main control. So this main control I looked up is $175. And this is why I don't think it's the main control, because it's stuck mid-cycle. It washed the clothes and it went to go into drain mode but couldn't because the drain pump isn't working. Now you say, wait a minute, there's a test for that. And yes, there is a test. You can check it here, or you can check it out of the machine for resistance, and the resistance checks out fine. It's not an electrical issue, it's a mechanical issue. So that's a fault in this design, is the computer says, hey, well, I'm sending voltage to the drain pump motor, but it's not draining. And it locks up at this point. Now, I'll take you over here. I made a video about these drain pumps. They're all the same. They're garbage. You know, the only difference is the motors all seem to be the same. It's just the connecting lid that hooks up to your machine is different. But these pump motors are all the same. Now, you know, this one is typical. Shaft is all worn out. It's just sloppy. And it's not wanting to turn right. And like I said, I ohmed it out with the with my meter, and it's 2 spec, so the ohms is correct. But when I plug power directly into this motor, it will not pump. It'll sit here and it'll get hot, but it will not pump. So that's why I say the manual is wrong, because the manual tells you, even with the drain pump tests, the drain pump tells you to perform the yada yada steps, and let's see, drain pump tells you the connectors to check, but it tells you if the values are correct, then you check the harness to make sure it's good. If the harness is good, replace main control panel. So you run through all this diagnostic, And if the diagnostic checks out, then it tells you to replace this. But you're going to replace this, and guess what? You're still going to have the same problem. This is not, you see that? It's not wanting to turn. It's bound up, and I'll let go. It's locked up inside of here and here. So this thing is going to spec out all day long just fine, but when the rubber meets the road, it ain't working. And the reason for that is there's no mechanical connection between this pump and this motor. All this is an electrical magnet. You can take and knock this out of here. That's all this is a shaft with magnets on it, and it just, that's how it works. That's how they make it watertight. There's actually no connection between this pump and this electric motor. So, if your machine has just completely shut down and it won't do anything, like this one, it won't do anything. I plug it in. First thing it does is it boots up. The power light LED comes on, lets you know that the 5 volts is working. And then it sends power to the drain pump, but it doesn't drain. And because it's not drained, it can't move on to the next step, which is spin. So it's stuck right there, and it won't let the cycle advance. So I got this, a brand new one, off eBay for $8.95 plus $6.95 shipping. So less than $20. I'm getting a new drain pump. I mean, that's the only saving grace is these crappy parts are cheap enough. But that's what I would go with first, because they, for whatever reason, they didn't keep into account mechanical failure with parts like these. You know, this machine will throw a code if there's an electrical failure. If it goes to send voltage to this and it doesn't get the correct resistance back, it'll say, hey, this isn't working, but that's not going to fail on this. The crappy shafts are junk. So that's my video for today. This is Whirlpool washer part 4. Figure also I'll tell you guys real quick what you're going to need to open this machine up. You're going to need a T20 security bit. It's got 2 screws in the front. This is my dryer, but I'm just using it as an example. And it's got 4 screws in the face to get your control panel off. Those are security bits. It's got 2 1/4-inch drive nuts, or little screws, in the back side that you'll have to take off. They go right in the lid. I can show you real quick over here. They go right here. Okay. And then you got one more bolt, which is a security bolt that is a 1/2 inch right here. And where this goes is you pop your cover off right here. It's down in there. And that's what ties the cash box to the machine, so somebody just can't take a hammer and whack it off. So you have to get all those bolts out. The lid, you have to jerk it forward to get it to lift up, because it'll catch right here where the screws are. And that's about all you need to know. So if your control is unresponsive and you can't get it to do anything, I would try spending $20 on a pump first before I go spend $175 on this computer, because all the tests check out. It's got the 5 volts, it's got the 13 volts, it's getting power. There's no, burnt marks on the board, so I can't see that being wrong. Got any questions? Let me know. All right, thanks.